Unitary Secretary General, Cy Van Katesh Warren, U.S. Chief for Delegate Affairs, Caitlin Limbert, U.S. Chief for Academics, Cheryl Brawajaya, USG for Public Outreach, Kevin Sebastian, USG for Operations, Chiara The, and USG for Design, Stella Eddy. As you may already be aware of, this year's grand theme is combating climate change in adherence to Sustainable Development Goal 13, climate action. The signs of the times portend to the dethroning of decadent, acquisitive capitalism and the crowning of a more sustainable green earth. I hope you look forward to a conference where you will foster great ideas of change that rise higher than the greatest challenges of our time. But before we get the conference into full flow, some important words from some important people. I would like to introduce you all to our school's principal, Mr. David Butcher. We are all so grateful to have a principal that shares our love and passion for Model United Nations, having attended the Hague International Model United Nations in the past, one of the most prestigious MUNs in the world. He will now say a few words of wisdom for you delegates.
A very good morning, and Edgar, thank you for that lovely introduction. A very warm welcome to all the schools and all the participants for this Model United Nations hosted by the British School Jakarta. We're absolutely delighted that you've joined us this morning for what is, I think, one of the most important parts of holistic education that we can have in any school. And I was delighted 2 years ago when we started the whole MUN again, even in a pandemic. The Secretariat, my absolute respect to all of you, and Edgar, it's a great way to kick off proceedings and you've done it brilliantly, so well done. I'm sure you'll be a great MC throughout the next 2 days. Chiara, Sai, Caitlin, Stella, Cheryl, Kevin, Chiara, Philip, and a whole lot more. I know the months of planning that goes into this in order to make it happen. And then on top of that, we put a pandemic. And then on top of that, we put your day-to-day routines as students at our school. So the effort and the application now comes to a point where you start, and this is massively exciting. Model United Nations is an area of school life and an opportunity. And as Edgar said, I've been very lucky. My previous job, I was the head of the International School of The Hague. So we had our own, what we called MUNish, and we had about 2,000 delegates come to that. And that was when basically I handed over the keys to the school on a Thursday afternoon and said, I'll have it back on Sunday and make sure everything's okay. I then saw some of the best interaction of youth leadership that I've ever seen. And that was massively important. And with the topics that you've chosen here and topics that I've seen before, I've also felt very honored and privileged that from the school that I was in, the leader of, I had 2 Secretary Generals of MUN, and also the students from my school, about 200 of them every year, they helped with all the logistics of MUN as well. So it runs through what I believe is a good educational model for us to learn from. Your theme for this conference is absolutely on point. Climate change, sustainability, and how to deal with it. I love the fact that Edgar mentioned decadence from previous generations. And yes, I have to admit, and I am guilty, that I'm in a generation that have been decadent, that haven't done it right, and we haven't served you well for the future. This is your opportunity to discuss with like-minded people who are passionate and understand the world better than we do on how to make that difference. And that is massively important. I'm absolutely delighted that you have 2 keynote speakers who are of an expertise and an age where you will be able to relate to them, you will learn from them, in Imelda Harsono and Pak Randy Sampe. These guys have pushed the boundaries already, and they will continue to do that. And they will give you, quite simply, the inspiration to make that change. Change is difficult. Change has barriers. And at this time, this is an opportunity for you in the next 2 days to discuss what is right and what is wrong and how you can do it. The systems and the institutions do not like change. We have an opportunity, to everybody on this call, we have an opportunity today to start making that change. It doesn't matter how small it is, but if you start it and you get a movement, it will grow and it will develop. And that's what you need to do. The reason you have a better opportunity than previous years is because we're coming out of one of the biggest disrupted times in education and in the world. So this is a time where people will listen with a different ear and they'll see with a different lens. That is all very, very important. When we're teachers, we always talk about youth leadership and student advocacy, student agency. Sometimes we get it wrong. How do we get it wrong? Well, we still impose what we think is good for you to think about and how to do it. The Model United Nations takes that away. It gives you the opportunity to actually see how you want to be leaders, how you can talk to each other, how you can model. The whole idea of Model United Nations, how you can model so that you can be better prepared for the future. Quite simply, the learning experience that you have in the next 48 hours is one to savor. And my challenge to you is that this is your chance to learn to disrupt. And with that, great change will come. Have a wonderful, wonderful conference. I hope that in the future we can welcome you to our campus and we can do this face to face. I yield the floor. Secretariat, have a great conference. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. You're welcome to stay and observe the productive conference about to unfold. Now I would like to introduce you to the Secretary General of this year's conference, Chiara Zhang. A student attending BSJ since 2009, Chiara has held a passion in social justice and an affinity to see MUN at BSJ prosper. An incredible orator, she got offered the position of Secretary General in 2021 and has led her team through the murky seas of adversity and up to the peak of what we call the pinnacle of oracy.
Thank you so much, Edgar. Delegates and faculty advisors, distinguished chairs, Mr. Butcher, Ms. Duncan, Ms. Wong, and Ms. Regina. Welcome to BSJMUN and welcome to the third iteration of British School Jakarta International Model United Nations. My name is Chiara Zhang, and it has been my utmost privilege to serve as your Secretary General for this conference. For the past 8 months, the team has been working tirelessly, a team of 14 to 16-year-olds, to plan a conference truly deserving of the title British School Jakarta Model UN. Seeing each and every one of you today, well be it in a Zoom room, I'm assured that it was worth every trial and tribulation we have faced. But no matter the risks, our team was determined to reach this point today. On the 9th of April, 2022, to empower the youth and ignite change, our conference motto, and to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 13, climate action. Now, there's not one day that I will not be asked this very question. Why run a simulation on such a failed organization? Why model UN? Let's take a look at the world around us. As UN Secretary General once said, human rights are under fire and science is under assault. There's a surge of complacency and pride. It's paralyzing our planet and it's polarizing our people. BSJMUN is not merely a simulation, but it's a platform for young people to find their voice. A conference run by 14 to 16-year-olds themselves. We have the responsibility, as Malala said, not to raise our voices to shout, but to do so those without a voice can be heard. And that alone should be enough. Since 2019, BSJMUN has strived to be the international conference that our British School Jakarta embodies. This year, we have reached that point, with 300 and counting delegates from 75 schools across 15 countries, from India to Russia and from Thailand to Ghana. I encourage you to allow yourself to live and breathe the BSJMUN international spirit. As delegates, try to persuade others on the validity of your point of view. Don't simply work with people who share the same ideas. Although this year we do have physical trophies which will be arriving on your doorstep, BSJMUN is not only about competition. You will gain tenfold what you would have if you listen to your peers and don't shout over them. As you immerse yourself into our conference, remember that you're here for the greater good. BSJMUN's success is built upon the help of many, many different groups. And it is my pleasure to thank our partners, BSJ TV, Sasha, MUN Center, Patrick, and many other Model United Nations across the world that have helped us bring outreach towards our conference. They have worked tirelessly to achieve our shared goal of BSJMUN 22. Delegates, chairs alike. Over the next 2 days, I want us to show how united we are as the youth, that young people are unstoppable. Thank you.
Truly a droplet of wisdom from the infinite reservoir. And speaking on the topic of scientists, I'd just like to share with you all a quote from a book from the 1920s. While the autocrat, the theocrat, and the plutocrat are decadent products of outworn ways of thinking, the scientist, on the contrary, is the most modern development of modern intelligence, modern ideals, and modern spiritualized modes of thought. And now this brings us to the honor of welcoming our 2022 nominee of the Young Global Leader by the World Economic Forum, Ms. Imelda Harsono, founder and CEO of Indonesian renewable energy pioneer, Samudra Biru International.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, and good morning, everybody. It has been a great honor for me to be able to speak in front of you. And it's amazing to see how many young minds, young people that are really care about the planet, really want to see the change in the world. So I'm looking forward to share some of my work, some of my experience in renewable energy in fighting climate change. Should I share my screen?
Sure.
I think mine is still disabled.
All right, you should have the co-hosting abilities now.
Okay, great. Can you see my screen? All right.
Yes.
Okay, good morning. My name is Imelda Harsono, and I'm the Vice President of Samudra Group. So, established in 1975, Samudra Group is the leading industrial and medical gas provider with the largest distribution network throughout Indonesia. So, we have the vision to be the most desirable company that continuously grows and expands by utilizing natural resources for the benefit of life. Samudra Group also strives to create a stronger business ecosystem through digital analytics and technological instruments in order to achieve operational excellence. Hence, it is an honor for me to be given the opportunity to share my knowledge and experience at British School Jakarta Model UN Conference 2022 regarding combating climate change in adherence to Sustainable Development Goal number 13, climate action. First, I would like to invite all of us to recall our routines for the past month. When we are in the office or at school, how many of us choose to buy food from outside with plastic packaging? How much plastic waste did we take out in the last month every day? How often do we use cars or motorized vehicles to travel instead of using public transportation or the option of cycling or walking? And how often do we use electricity for lights at home and charging our cell phones? How much energy do we consume for our daily life, and imagine with the amount of energy we consume, what impact it can have on our Earth? Our daily consumption is one of the main drivers of climate change. The more we consume, whether it's goods or services, they are produced a type of waste, whether it is a production line or distribution line. So when you purchase a phone, the production of the materials itself already produces a lot of toxic gas. Not to mention the assembly line, the shipping, even when we use our phone, because we use electricity to change our phone. So currently, as much as 60% production of electricity still relies on fossil fuels. To combat this, some other group tries to contribute by creating renewable energy from solar power systems to help reduce the usage of fossil fuels in electricity. Electricity production releases tons of carbon emissions, as you guys know, and despite the promise for carbon neutrality by 2050, it is still very far from its target. This shows that our consumption in the daily life really contributes a lot towards the greenhouse gases emissions, and this could actually be seen during our lifetime in lockdown. We all know that the air quality during and after pandemic lockdown is better, as the emissions from transportation are reduced due to the lack of travel both in and out of the country. However, this reduction in emission does not show how much changes it for the future outlook. It is merely temporary. As we all adapt to the new normal and normal activities begin again, the pollution and emission will return. Therefore, we all should be more aware of our actions and activities, especially as Indonesia being the fourth most populated country in the world, is at risk of affecting climate change heavily in the long run. The rapid population growth of Indonesia, which is associated with the growth of industrialization, is creating increased level of harmful gas emissions. As the population grows, the demand for goods and services follows along, releasing more and more greenhouse gases from fossil fuels. This is a natural event that may not cause many concerns. However, the anomalies that happens due to the event are where the problem lies. The instability of the temperature, humidity, wind speed, sea level, things that are used to be able to be monitored and projected, is now an unpredictable variable of nature. This became the main reason for our concern. Therefore, the growth of our industrialization in Indonesia served as a threat to the environment. As a company that relies on a lot of industrialization, we always try to minimize or curb our emission by our CSR. So for example, our production plant in Bombay, Diorejo, Gresik has currently been relying on a solar panel system in order to change our reliance on fossil fuels to renewable energy. With the installation of solar panels in Bombay plant, Samator can save nearly 100 million rupiah each month. Besides, our solar panel system is also integrated with our roof even in some of our parking lots, in order to absorb as much solar power as possible. And this is just one of the examples of how a company could take action to save the environment. In the mention of industrialization, we cannot overlook the amount of fossil fuels burned for transportation. As Indonesian citizens, we are familiar with the traffic and road congestion. This is due to our reliance on private transportation instead of public transportation. Although there has been an increase in electric cars releases that use renewable energy, Indonesia is still very much behind this advancement. Whether inland, water, or sky, most vehicles in our countries rely heavily on fossil fuel. Therefore, in Salvatore Group, we provide a service to cut the shipping line by creating a pipeline directly to our customers' locations. From this pipeline, our production plant gases would be able to flow directly to customers' needs. From this action, we are able to cut the gas emission we produce from our shipping activities. However, our actions alone won't be able to combat the amount of gas emissions the entire Indonesia emits. There are still plenty of Indonesian citizens that are not aware of the pressing problem and instead become the source of the problem. One of the examples will be cutting and destroying forests to make the land for more industrialization. Trees and forests are the main defenders of the enormous carbon dioxide released from fossil fuels. However, deforestation has destroyed our defense line, releasing tons more toxic gases than our remaining forests can hold. Despite the regulation being put, the number of forests lost in Indonesia for making wood products, including paper, is distressing. If this condition continues, the Earth will eventually lose so much more trees, and climate change will get even worse. Because of that, Salvatore Group has started to use less paper by adopting the use of technologies throughout our day-to-day operation. By doing so, we could reduce the need for clearing forested land and would preserve our green environment. So what can we do? As these problems and concerns continue to pile up, the Earth Global Service is reported to be the 6th warmest in the history, with the global emission predicted to double in 2030. How can we rest easy, knowing that our planet is dying? It may be okay for now, but how about our future generations? Will we let their days be filled with smoke? Our blue sky turns to mist as the sky turns brown or gray from all the pollution? Of course not. We want to preserve nature's beauty, not only in country, but globally. So Salvatore Group is actually at the forefront of Indonesia's renewable energy initiatives. In 2016, Salvatore Group installed more than 3,000 solar panels, measuring to 1 megawatt solar panel system. This action alone has managed to reduce coal-based energy, which is equivalent to more than 800 hectares of forest conservation and more than 9,000 tons of trees. The installation and maintenance of these solar panels also open up plenty of job openings, as well as spreading renewable energy technology knowledge towards Indonesian workers. In ensuring that every Indonesian citizen has access to renewable energy, Salvatore Group released Salvatore Surya. With Salvatore Surya, we provide access for companies and citizens to solar power system from installation to maintenance. This is all to push Salvatore's vision of a cleaner and greener energy source closer to a realization. Sustainable solar energy will not only help the environment, but also its users. The usage of solar power system will be able to reduce users' electricity costs for all the panels' lifetime, and if there are any excess of electricity, it is able to be sold to PLN through net metering for credits for future use. At Samator, we shifting from non-renewable energy to solar panels to meet the electricity needs of one of Samator plants installed by Samator Surya. We built a system to integrate each of the solar panels to successfully generate electricity to support our production. And we will continue to increase until we reach 100% of solar panels as our plant's energy source. Solar panels system integrated properties also have a high valuation in the market. It is a sustainable future investment that helps not only Indonesia's renewable energy initiatives, but also the earth. Therefore, countries worldwide are joining hands in creating sustainable and green initiatives to take actions against climate change. The Paris Agreement created in 2015 was signed by more than 190 countries to date. Indonesia is included. The agreement aims to strengthen the global response to climate change and the country's ability to deal with global warming. As Indonesia citizens, we have the upper hand as our country is rich in biodiversity, which is essential for curbing climate change. We need to understand the importance of our land and the great benefits it holds. By going green and sustainable, it does not mean we are halting our economic growth. In Samator Group, we are a company that committed to aid Indonesia's initiative for better environment, even in trying times of pandemic and the economic slowdown. Our company still try to contribute to our CSR while also maintaining any down curve to a minimum. Samator CSR acts does not end with our production plan. At Samator Surya, we have a long-term plan to create wholly sustainable and renewable energy throughout the operations. We envision that in the near future, we are able to implement our solar panels in our diverse range of industry. As the forefront of Indonesia's renewable initiatives, Samator continues to pursue sustainable and renewable operations in change. Therefore, our CSR acts also expands to other territories as well. For example, in May 2021, Novotel Samator and Sekolah Dasar Negeri 1 Kaliasin Surabaya planted 50 trees to celebrate the World Biodiversity Day. Not only that, Samator Group has been entrusted to lead the CSR forum in the East Java region in 2021 until 2023. With our continuous effort, one of our companies under Samator Group, PT TBK, was also awarded a CSR Appreciation Award by PT Tempo Inti Media TBK and Center for Indonesia Taxation Analysis in 2020. So what is the current condition to Indonesia? At present time, Indonesia's renewable energy contribution is only 12% of the total energy, while the target is to reach 23% of renewable energy by 2025. Being one of the most populated countries in ASEAN, Indonesia's high population resulted in high energy consumption, accounting for 40% of the region, with its demand projection to be doubled by 2030. Despite this, our country's geographical condition is blessed with many clean and renewable energy resources, ranging from geothermal, hydropower, tidal, and solar power. It is not efficiently and effectively used yet. Therefore, as a citizen, we will need to work together in order to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. Even small actions are able to contribute plenty in the long run. So what is our next move? As students and Indonesia's future leaders, you will need to stand up to ensure the success of renewable energy initiatives. Being a student, implementation of the solar power system may seem a bit hard and a bit much, but there are plenty of things you can do to contribute to curb climate change. In fact, I have seen on schools inviting students in creating sustainable improvements. Junior high schools in Surabaya, where I'm based, were reported on building a wall green garden, as well as processing organic waste into compost. There are also global environment activists in Indonesia trying to raise awareness on littering and plastic waste. Action on our ocean life also have been seen through the transplantation of coral reefs. If you prefer remote or digital acts, there are also plenty of environmental campaigns available to be joined digitally. These things, if implemented in our daily lives on larger scales, will surely show some impact in the long run. In Samator, we also open doors for young people in Indonesia to integrate their knowledge as well as keeping up with Industry 4.0 through Samudra International. We ought to create small changes that can bring huge impact to achieve long-term sustainability. Starting small with a group of young people, we envision bringing change to a corporation with a greater scale of employees. Young people, you can make a difference. Don't wait until you're older to start. Start now and don't be discouraged while dealing with others. Small actions in your daily life can provide a positive ripple effect. Conserve energy. Turn off lights that are not being used actively. Conserve water when you're using them, whether it's for personal hygiene or your daily chores. Stop relying on fossil fuel transportation if your destination is close enough to walk or cycle to. Not only that, it is healthy for you, it is also healthy for our Earth. Most importantly, conserve your electrical usage. Relying on air conditioners 24/7 is unhealthy and very bad for our environment. Turn off all the electronics that are not presently used. Small actions like this, if done throughout Indonesia, will help to reduce the amount of toxic waste we produce. Share your knowledge. We are all a single individual. The range of our actions and words can only produce so much. So share what you learn. Bring more people into an understanding of the importance of sustainable living and how important our actions are. Plastic waste is still a problem in Indonesia. Despite government actions to try to limit, if citizens doesn't follow, it stands merely as a sentence of warning. If you can't help using plastic, try to recycle them. This information also needs to be heeded for people. Paper is made to trees, and the more we waste paper and needlessly, the more trees we need to be cut down. So as a big corporation, we have tons of contracts, and most often than not, this creates tons of paper waste. Therefore, we have been trying to limit our paper usage by integrating our agreements using contract management system, which significantly reduce the amount of paper used for contracts. We are reaching a digital age after all, where most papers can be replaced with digital tools, so try your best not to waste our scarce natural resources. It is also essential for us to keep learning. Knowledge changes with time. Things that we understand as a fact now can change into an opinion by time. As we learn, we find new things to explore and find. Unlike our natural resources, knowledge is limitless. Continue to improve yourself and be the agent of change that is able to create an innovative tool or ways to combat our rising concerns and problems more efficiently and effectively. You are all our future leaders. You will be the one that paves the way of our future. So do not fear what you do not know. Instead, learn from it. Believe that your actions, no matter how big or small, matter. As a younger generation, you are more adept with digital tools. You have plenty of time ahead of you to continue to learn and improve. Use your age as your advantage, not as a reason to laze around. Protect the land you stand on, the air you breathe in, the water you drink from, because without them, we will cease to exist. There will be no future to lead, so do not wait for it to come. Prevention is always better. Begin now before it's too late. You are our future, your action matter. I'm Imelda Harsono, and thank you for your time.
That was quite the insight into the prospects of renewable energy reliant Indonesia. I speak on behalf of everyone present that we are honored to have you here. And now we have the incredible privilege of a Q&A session with Ms. Harsono. Aforementioned future leaders, go and seek wisdom. The first of these questions comes from the school media production team, BSJTV. And they ask,
Okay, so my first question is, what advice do you have for people in our generation who wish to take a similar career path to that you have taken?
The advice that I can give to the future generation is to keep on learning, keep on sharing, and never give up. Because sometimes you get discouraged when things are seemingly small. Our small action, even though we start small, it will make a difference, no matter how small it is. So never give up. I think that's one of the best advice I can give to the future generation.
now we have a question coming from the delegates. In your expert opinion, what kind of policies should the UN enact to push the energy industry to more aggressively transition to renewable energy and green energy sources?
I think it's better to keep the conversation going and also sharing the experience that we have from different countries, because how countries are managing their climate changes are pretty different. Indonesia, it's a growing country, it's a developing country, so they are excited to change, but still there are pushback from the stakeholder of fossil fuels. So it's better to have the same perspective, the same goal from different countries, which is to fight climate change for future generation, for it to be more impactful. If you don't have the same priorities, then it will be very difficult to fight or to create policy. Policy that you can create from different countries can be better tax incentive for the businesses that has used a lot of electricity. Because if you have better tax incentive, then they will have more initiative or incentives to change their fossil fuel consumption into a renewable energy consumption.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to open the chat to anyone who'd like to ask any questions. Here's another question from BSJ TV.
I was wondering because after seeing and listening to your presentation, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you so passionate about this topic, and where did this maybe start from? Maybe you had a specific memory or experience from your childhood that made you so passionate about what you're doing right now.
Okay, so I'm a mom of 5-year-old twins. They're turning 6 this year. And I want to create, because this is personal for me, I want to create a better planet for them. I see when I travel the world, I see a lot of changes in terms of temperature. The places that used to be cold become warm, and the places that used to be warm become cold. It makes me feel that if we don't do anything right now, and if I don't start, then it will be too late. So my job here and my purpose, one of them is to inspire other people, young or old, to change, to be able to make small changes, to become a change agent in fighting climate change and make a world a better place to live.
Here is another question from the BSJ TV team.
I was wondering, especially since you are speaking as a woman, do you have any specific words of encouragement or words or advice to all of the, especially young women watching this and who will be watching this, who not only maybe want to pursue a career like you are, but become a businesswoman, become have this leadership-like sense in the society. So what do you have to say about that?
I think women empowerment is also one of my passions. And I think right now we are very lucky because we are living in a place and an era where women are more heard and seen. And I think we should not take that for granted. I always believe that even when you are the first women in your position, don't be the last women in your position. So in any position you have, be it leadership, secretary general, business people, part of the UN, policymakers, don't be the last women in that position. Make way for other women. Support them. Because sometimes all they need is a support, not from other men, but from other women as well. Because the only thing that will put us down is ourselves, right? So when you lose your self-confidence, you need your sisters, your other women leaders to say that it's okay to fail, but just don't give up. Make way for others to succeed as well.
Thank you. Here is a question from the United Nations Development Program, a delegate from the United Nations Development Program, who asks, do you enjoy what you do?
Yes, I really enjoy what I do because I feel like if you enjoy what you do, then you don't feel like you're working. You're just living. And you do your best every day, and I think that's the best thing. I mean, that's my motto in life, never regret. So even when you fail, you just get up and try again, give your best, and I think let God do the rest.
That is quite a wise insight. Now, a delegate from the UNDP for Norway, he'd like to ask, where is Indonesia going with palm oil plantations and palm oil plantation problems in the future?
Yeah, so I have a lot of palm oil plantation friends, business people. And I think the problem with palm oil plantations is not the palm oil plantation itself, but the deforestation and also the land that cannot be used after you planted palm oil. So it's going to be a dead land. What can they do is, some of them actually use biothermal energy and to start the plants. I think that will help, and also green hydrogen. So lately there has been a lot of talk about green and blue hydrogen. Green and blue hydrogen. Hydrogen is used for palm oil hydrogenation. And when you use hydrogen and you use renewable energy to produce that hydrogen, you will reduce a lot of carbon emissions that you otherwise use if you waste it with fossil fuel. So one of the ways that they can do is A, geothermal, and B is to use green hydrogen energy for their palm oil plantation. But to reduce them all together, like there's no palm oil, it's impossible, because there's a lot of people depending their life on it. There are a lot of palm oil farmers that are working for them, so their livelihood depends on them. And also, we need it for our export as well outside Indonesia, because a lot of like hydrogenated palm oil are exported outside Indonesia, and therefore will give some income, or a lot of income, to Indonesia as a country.
Thank you for that. I'd like to now yield to the Secretary General who'd like to ask her own question.
Hi, Ms. Imelda Harsono. First of all, thank you so much for joining our conference today. We're so humbled to have you here. I have a question regarding women in the industry, in the workplace. So I'm sure you being the founder and CEO of such a big organization, do you ever face certain backlash against certain men, for example, or do you ever face that so-called glass ceiling in your line of work? How would you overcome this?
I would like to say no, but unfortunately, the glass ceiling is always there. I experienced some gender discrimination for sure in my line of industry, and I think one of the ways to manage with that is to make sure that you are working hard to earn your place at the table, but in the same time, do not be scared to voice out your opinion, because sometimes people will shut you down, and when you get intimidated, sometimes you just stop voicing out your opinion and self-doubt yourself, second doubt yourself. Oh, did I say the wrong thing? Did I not say what is appropriate? But I think every one of us, male, female, we have our own voices, and all of it needed to be heard. We all needed to be seen, and your opinion mattered. And I think that will kind of overcome the problem of gender discrimination when you know that you are a force to be reckoned with.
Thank you.
And now we have a question from Denmark, who asks, knowing the higher cost of renewable energy in Indonesia at this moment, how do you think it could be used for widespread usage for the general public?
One of the ways to manage the higher cost of renewable energy is to take the subsidy out for the fossil fuel energy. Right now, the subsidy is still on for fossil fuel energy, so nobody has the incentive to switch to renewable energy. The cost of renewable energy is getting lower, but it cannot beat the subsidy for fossil fuel gases or energy. So the only way is to lift up the subsidy so we can be comparable to fossil fuel, and more people will adapt more renewable energy than fossil fuel.
Thank you. Now I'd like to present a question from the delegate of Poland who asks, what can we as an Indonesian student or even international student do / participate in Samator group to help the sustainable energy in particular?
I think for that, we are actually open for university students for internship program as well. So we are open every year. We get 40 to 50 people to actually work for us and experience living like working experience to be able to make changes. And I think that's a good way to start.
Thank you. Now we have a question from the delegate of Spain who asks, in light of the social motion, would gender inequality in the context of climate crisis pose a threat towards international peace in the long term?
That is a heavy question. But I think international peace is there's a lot of things in play for international peace, right? Energy crisis is definitely one of them. That's why when we see the war between Ukraine and Russia right now, there is a lot of potential energy crisis because there's a lot of energy coming out from Russia. For gender inequality, I think for war-wise and international peace, having employ more women will make the world more peaceful. I personally think that way because women are designed to care about other people. They have maternal instinct, so they are more peaceful individuals. So maybe that answers some of the questions, I hope.
Yeah, thank you. And finally, the last question from the delegate of Kenya, who asks, acknowledging the fact that developing countries such as Indonesia struggle with providing equal opportunities, what would it take for governments to provide citizens in rural areas with sustainable energy-related jobs?
Yeah, I think it has something to do with the technology as well. So we would like to have more jobs from people in the rural area. But the problem is the technology and the electricity has not reached the rural area yet. So I think one of the, I have one friend who is doing training for people in the rural area, in villages, for them to be able to install their own Wi-Fi, and then that will actually create training for them to become a better and more educated engineer, and that way they will be more equipped to do more sustainable energy job from the rural area. But it goes like a egg and chicken, right? It goes from education first. You fix the education. You put some trainings in the people in the rural area so that they know they can do better with their livelihood. Then they can find jobs that is supporting sustainable energy and renewable energy for Indonesia. But it has to start with the education first.
Thank you again for your insightful speech, insightful Q&A session. You two are welcome to stay in the meet and watch the conference unfold.
Thank you for having me. And I'm blown away by all the questions. They are very smart, they are very critical, and I am so amazed. I'm so happy to see all the young generations that care about this planet and wanting to see the positive change in the world. Thank you so much.
And now we owe our conference success to these 75 schools who are participating from 15 countries today. Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, India, Malaysia, Morocco, Russia, United Arab Emirates, South Korea, Philippines, and last but not least, Indonesia. What a diverse range of participants we have, truly embodying the BSJ international spirit. And lastly, an honorable mention and best of luck to our large and small delegations who have joined from various schools across the globe. These delegates are eligible for the Best Large Delegation Trophy. I would now like to hand over the virtual stage to the Deputy Secretary, General Sai Venkatesh Warren, for the tech briefing.
All right, thank you so much, Edgar, for the floor. Delegates will now move on to the tech briefing, one of the most key components that all delegates should be understanding because it does adhere with BSJ's online learning policy. Firstly, virtual backgrounds. Delegates, the design team has prepared a series of virtual backgrounds that are mandatory for all delegates to have during council sessions. These also are fitted with key photographs of your council's flag, of your country flag, and also have photographs of BSJ's 18-hectare estate. As you can see on the picture on the right, there's little sections where delegates can place their image for their country so that all delegates in your council are aware of which country you represent. Furthermore, moving onwards, you have your Zoom rooms. Delegates, please do not leave any Zoom room during the breaks or transition periods, as it does affect your council progress, because letting you back in would be a hassle for the BSJ Executive Board. There are 2 different Zoom links for 2 different days. Make sure you do note both of them down. BSJMUN has also emailed you the separate links, so please do make sure you note that down. Each council has 1 main room, which will be a breakout room for this main meet, which will be opened shortly. And each council has also a separate 4 additional breakout rooms, which will be there for unmoderated caucus or any other potential activities that your council may need. Further on, you guys have the timings and scheduling. So please refer to our conference schedules, which have been emailed to you by our secretariat and the BSJMUN Administration Board. Day 1, which is already started at 8:10 and will end at 5 o'clock today. All timings will be respective to Indonesia's time zone, which will be GMT+7. Please note down in case you are not currently in Indonesia or in a foreign country. Also, day 2 will start at 8:40 a.m. and it will end at around 4:40 GMT+7, of course. Do allow us 5 to 10 minutes when you're first entering the Zoom meet for us to verify your name, as we do need to adhere with BSJ's online learning policy. And please, once again, as the tech team has been reminding you again and again, rename your Zoom room name to your council as well as your country, and then followed by your name. And then tech help, finally. Delegates, we at BSJMUN do take your tech problems very seriously. And so please do email bsjmun@bsj.sch.id for any problems you may have regarding substance or technical assistance, as well as you can also email your private council emails as well. Followed by we also have your WhatsApp numbers that you could also contact, which are on the board, or you could also contact your chairs if you need any other further assistance. Also, you may also reach out to all the tech team individuals. You can identify them by the respective tech and then followed by their name. And also, you can also, of course, ask anyone through your WhatsApp chats, as that's what they're there for. Furthermore, you guys have your public outreach content. This is a disclaimer, delegates, because the tech team will be continuously recording throughout the session your progress, as well as screenshotting from time to time for both record purposes as well as promotion. If you don't want to be captured in the photographs or screen recording, please do turn off your camera during those particular moments. We will inform you. The best performing delegates on the first day and second day will be interviewed by BSJ TV 5 p.m. on the first day after the ComSES has ended, and then the second day will be at 2:10. Recognize them as BSJ TV _name, as you can locate them in the Zoom room. And finally, moving on, you also have your Instagram feature. Please do use the hashtag too cool for BSJMUN 2022. And also you can use British School Jakarta's own Instagram stickers. Tag at the BSJMUN on your post and stories, and we'll surely repost you. We would definitely appreciate all the promotion we can get. And finally, we move on to our master doc. BSJMUN 2022's conference master doc link. Click here. If one of the tech team could, they'll put that in the chat for your help later on. This conference master doc will contain all the links you could potentially need for the 2 days of committee session, including both day 1, day 2 links, the conference schedule, as well as any other potential information required. Delegates, please do look through all the tech protocols, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to BSJMUN's email, as well as any other tech team individuals. Hope this helps, and have a great conference, delegates. At the floor.
And now we will move over to start BSJMUN 2022's conference.
All right, as Secretary General, I hereby officially open BSJMUN 2022 now. Good luck, delegates, and have fun within your committee sessions. Feel free to go into the breakout rooms, which have already been opened. We have breakout rooms for each council and several smaller breakout rooms for your unmoderated caucus sessions.